Hi. As a patient in our office, there's certain information that you need to know, which is why I've made these videos. I don't want you to miss a thing when it comes to certain topics. And one of the topics that is near and dear to my heart, because we are gluten-free in our household, I want to let you know I walk the walk when it comes to this stuff, is gluten. Gluten is something you need to avoid for the rest of your life. It's a bold statement, I know. But let me say something right here. If you look at gluten, let's say 25 years from now, I bet you anything that they're going to look at gluten as a poison for a lot of people. We just don't know that yet. Well, some of us do. There's a book out there called Wheat Belly. It's by a cardiologist who's worked with thousands of patients over the years. And he has come to the determination that gluten is a dangerous, dangerous food. So what is gluten? Gluten is found, it's a protein that's found in wheat, barley, and rye, and a bunch of other grains you've probably never heard of. But what does it do? It binds food together. What do you have to know? Well, this is what you have to know. If you're sitting here as a patient, more than likely you have an autoimmune disease of some sort, and to you, gluten is probably poison. So I'm going to have you take gluten out of your diet. We didn't test you for it, and there's a reason. I used to test everybody for gluten. We probably did over 500 people, and like 99.5% of them were positive. The other 0.5 were questionable. So if you come in this office with autoimmune issues, if you have problems like thyroid disease, if you're tired, if you have trouble sleeping, more than likely you have an issue with gluten. So what is it that's so bad? Well, get on your computer, go to pubmed.gov, all right, and then type in celiac and type in any disease afterwards. Any disease at all. Diabetes, Parkinson's, Huntington's chorea, terrible neurological diseases, all of them. Everyone has been connected to celiac disease. And celiac is kind of the medical researchers' way right now of, they're not to the point where they use gluten as a descriptive word yet. It's called celiac. So if you see celiac in there, that basically means gluten is a cousin to that, gluten sensitivities that you have. You probably don't have celiac. You have similar sensitivities to gluten. So you got to watch out. So what we want to do is this. I want to draw a few things here for you and let you understand exactly what's going on. All right? So here's the problem. This is your intestinal tract. Okay? It's 20 feet long, your small intestine. Its job is to absorb nutrients. How does our body do that? It has all these fingers that come out. They're called microvilli. Okay? All those fingers. And what they do is they absorb mainly amino acids into your blood. So this is your blood out here. You have to forgive my drawing. I know I draw like a 2-year-old, maybe a 5-year-old. So this is the blood. What happens is you eat gluten, dairy, soy, whatever it is that you react to. Let's say peanut butter and jelly, P, B, and J. You eat that, and in the bread, there's gluten molecules. If your body looks at that as an antigen, meaning a foreign invader, something it doesn't like, it's going to attack it. It's going to create a cytokine invasion. Those are inflammatory proteins that go after this to try to kill it. What does it do? It breaks down these villi, beats them up. So these gaps that are only supposed to allow small micromolecules, micronutrients like amino acids into the blood, guess what? These gaps, they get wider and wider. That's called leaky gut. I can test you for that. It's a $500 test. We don't need to do that. I guarantee you have it. We want to make these gaps smaller. We want to take away the irritant. And what are those irritants? Like I mentioned, it could be a lot of different things, but gluten is a big one. So here's what happens. This is probably why patients get better in our office where they don't in any other office, is we figure out what foods, not only gluten, but all the other cross-reactive foods you have issues with. That could be potato, corn, it could be coffee, it could be dairy. There's 4 proteins in dairy. We don't know. We'll figure that out. But these gap junctions, we got to close them down, because when you get PB&J, food particles in your blood, when you get inflammatory hormones in your blood, inflammatory cytokines, all this blood, that's going somewhere. It's going to your brain. And when you have inflammation in your blood, it's going to go straight to the brain, and guess what that is? It's brain fog. All right? That's pain. That's sleep issues. That's poor health. It's a big problem. Now, what you got to know is this blood eventually is going to make its way to our liver. Okay? That's your liver. Your liver's job is to filter blood. Okay? And if it's backed up with all these particles of food and immune junk that shouldn't be there, your liver is going to be sluggish. And if you have thyroid disease, which a lot of you do, the liver converts T4 to T3. It does 60% of the conversion of inactive hormone to active hormone. So you could be taking thyroid hormone all day long. If you have a gluten problem, your liver is going to be backed up. It's not going to convert T4 to T3. You're not going to have energy, and you're going to be tired all day long. That's why. So you can see here, we want to pretty much figure out what foods you have issues with. And when you change your lifestyle, that's one of the keys to getting better. So it's my hope you learned something. Gluten, it's a bad food. Do an internet search. You should know that you can't eat this food. One more thing. Gluten-free foods, not good right now, especially in the first part of our program for the first maybe 6, 7, 8 weeks. Don't touch gluten-free products. Gluten-free products have other things that bind them. Starch, different types of cornstarch, potato starch, tapioca, all sorts of things that bind them together. There's also excipients, which are maybe binders and fillers and glues and colors and dyes. They're products that are mass-produced that are made to make money. And yeah, while they taste good, they're not good for you. And they also sugar. There's a lot of the amylase inside the bread will spike your blood sugar, something wicked. So we want to stay away from that. Okay? It's my hope that this taught you a little bit. And wait, we're going to do another video coming up real soon on cholesterol. Have a good night or day or wherever you are. Bye-bye. My next little video in this series is on cholesterol, which, as you can see here, you can read my horrible handwriting. I consider it to be the greatest lie in modern medicine, in the medical world today, the whole cholesterol thing. I've probably taken blood on close to 700, 800 people now, and guess what? Every single person, if they weren't on a statin medication, they have high blood pressure. All of them, every one across the board, not just like most, all. I haven't found one yet. And everybody whose markers are really, really low, those people, we're talking total cholesterol, everyone who's really low, those people are on cholesterol medication, and we're going to talk about that. So what actually happens? Is cholesterol the bad guy, we're all told? Well, it's not. This is follow me here, because this is very important. All right? So this is your artery, okay? That's your arterial wall. If you were to take a tissue, let's say, do this to your arm, okay? It would actually feel good initially. What would happen about 5 to 10 minutes in? Maybe your arm would start to get red. What if I did this for 2, 3 hours? It would start to get irritated, right? It wouldn't be good. What if I did it for 4 or 5 days? Well, it would maybe start to bleed. It would start to have little holes in it. This is what happens in your arteries. Now, when you do get that irritation in your arteries, and I'll talk about how that irritation occurs, your body lays down cholesterol to fix that hole, that patch, that irritation. So cholesterol is just doing its job. It's laying itself down to fix the hole. Now, if you have a lot of irritation here, you're going to have a lot of cholesterol, and eventually, if you have a lot of irritation in that wall, guess what? It's going to block up that artery. And if that happens in your heart, you have a myocardial infarction, an MI, or a heart attack, and you die 60% of the time if that's your first symptom. If that happens in your brain, you have a stroke. It stops blood going to the area, and you have an issue. Wherever the brain doesn't get blood, it dies. Hopefully you don't die. But here's the problem. When they discovered that they could make money off this, the numbers, your markers for cholesterol, it used to be around 300. Now they get it lower and lower and lower for total cholesterol, to the point now where it's so low, they can say, you've got a problem with cholesterol. We've got to give you a statin medication. And we'll talk about that in a second, what statins do. A statin medication, because cholesterol is the bad guy. Well, it's not. The problem is the irritation, the inflammation. What causes that? You know what causes that? This SAD, Standard American Diet. We have to have omega-6s and omega-3s, those are fatty acids, in a 1-to-1 ratio. Omega-6s, those are found in processed foods. The number one reason we have too high omega-6s in this country is seed-based oils. Right now, instead of this 1-to-1 ratio in our country, it's 20-to-1. So omega-3 fatty acids, that's going to be fish oil and krill oil and flaxseed oil. Things like that will increase. That's why I tell everybody to have omega-3s in our office. So omega-6 to omega-3 should be 1-to-1. In our country, it's 20-to-1. That causes this irritation in the arterial wall. It causes inflammation. So the seed-based oils, that's why you want to stay away from like vegetable oil or canola oil. Right? It sounds good, but it's really, really bad. Also, they put oils in just about everything nowadays. So we got to watch out for that. So if it's processed foods, if it's wrapped or if it's in a box, be very, very careful. That's where processed foods come in. They cause inflammation. Fried foods, bad, 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 bad. Okay, it's going to increase your omega-6s. So what happens is we get this irritation, the cholesterol sticks, and eventually it clogs. We don't want to decrease cholesterol in a lot of people. Now, some people do need that. So what happens? They give you a statin medication because they're making billions of money on Mevacor, Simvastatin, all those medications that lower your cholesterol. Now, what do? Very, very effective. Cholesterol is made in the liver. It's very effective at lowering the cholesterol, but at what cost? Well, your liver has to work. It has to do things. And if you're beating it up, that's why they look for enzymes. They'll say, we'll check the enzymes every 6 months. Unfortunately, by the time the enzymes are high, that's kind of like saying, we won't call the fire department until the house is on fire. Then we'll call them. You know, instead of working at maybe trying to put out the simmering smoke that you may see in your house. It's a poor example, I understand. But suffice it to say, you don't want to wait until the fire department or the liver enzymes are raging before you go and you get it checked. But the big problem is this. Statins decrease the production of CoQ10. CoQ10 is a substance that we use to make ATP. ATP is the gasoline for the human body. It is energy. That's why people on statins a lot of times have aches and pains in their arms and their legs. And it's a problem. They're basically killing themselves. So they're going to sell the statins to decrease the cholesterol and not talk to you about diet. All right? So it's up to you. It's your choice. You can get on medication. And if you're on that, I can't tell you to get off of it. I never will. But I can give you information so you can make your own mind up. You can get on medication. You can do it that way. Or you can get your diet right, lose that belly fat, get energy back, and cut down on this irritation. So the cholesterol has nowhere to stick. Very, very important. I hope you found this one interesting, and we'll talk to you soon via video. Thank you.